Hi, and welcome back. We are moving on to solving one-step equations by multiplication and division. So last video we focused on addition and subtraction, and those being the inverse operations. Okay, the opposite of addition is subtraction, subtraction is addition. Now we're moving on to multiplication and division. They are also inverses of each other. Multiplication and division are both inverses. So if you think about it, just like before, if you have a -3, or you're subtracting 3 from something, we added 3. And what we did from one side, we did with the other, and that's how they canceled out. That's what makes them the inverse operations. What you do to one, if you do the opposite to it, it's what cancels it out. All right. So it's going to be the same here. If you take a number or anything you're going to multiply 3 to, and then if you divide 3 to that one, it goes back to the original number. For example, 4 times 3 is 12. Well, if you take 12 and you divide by 3, you go back to 4. So you can kind of see, we started with a 4 and you multiplied by 3 and then you divided. That's what makes them the inverse operations. They kind of cancel each other out. And you'll see what I'm talking about when we get into some examples for the lesson. All right. So let's see. Let's start off. Let's go right into a problem. So let's go with 3x equals 27. Okay. So again, x is a variable. Okay. Let's talk about kind of some terms and stuff going on here. 3 is our coefficient. We talked about this earlier when we talked about expressions, simplifying algebraic expressions and things. These are different terms. 3 is the coefficient, x is the variable, and 27 is a constant. Now, just like before, we want to remove everything from one side, and we want to keep the variable. We want to move everything else over to the side where the constant is. We want to keep the variable. Well, right now, we have a 3 and we have an x. It's not addition, it's not subtraction. If you're unfamiliar, if you don't know, when you have a 3 and an x together, there's actually multiplication going on there. It's multiplying. You're not dividing. If it was dividing, if you're dividing by 3, it'd look like that. That's how we do the division. Let's see, making sure on the homework, that's the only way we show division. We don't show any other way. Correct. Okay, so here's an example of multiplication when you're multiplying by 3 and when you're dividing by 3. We don't show multiplication dots or multiplication signs in between. When you have a coefficient and a variable, you're multiplying. Okay, it's the same as saying, if you think, when we had other stuff here, okay, that's multiplying 3 times x. We just don't, when you have a variable and when you have a coefficient or a constant with it, you don't need to put any signs or anything in between them, around them. 3x, this is multiplication. So we have 3 times x equals 27. So you're multiplying by 3. So we need to get x by itself. To get x by itself, you do the inverse operation of multiplication. So since we're multiplying, you need to do the opposite. Divide. Divide by 3. The way that I'm going to show this is I'm going to set it up as almost like a fraction. So I'm dividing by 3, because we know 3 divided by 3 gives us 1. Now before we wanted it to equal 0, right? 3 minus 3 give us 0. In this case, we want it to be a 1, and I'm going to show you why. 3 divided by 3 gives us 1, because 3 goes into itself one time. Gives us 1x equals 27. Well, I don't do the 27 just yet. Now remember, what you do to one side, you must do to the other. So if you divide by 3 on this side, you must divide by 3 on this side. So I'm going to write it as a fraction again. Okay? I prefer to write them as fractions. You can do little division signs with the, like this. But you're going to see as we kind of move on, it's going to be easier to show it this way. You can put the little divide by 3. It's kind of up to you, but I don't show it that way. So I'm not going to take off any points or anything if you do it a different way. I just prefer it to do. Again, I like to go vertical. I like to go this way with it. So I use the division bar. 27 divided by 3. How many times does 3 go into 27? Answer is 9. Okay. And now we have 1 times x. Well, what's 1 times x? 1 times x is just x. That's why it needs to be a 1. If it was a 0, 0 times x is 0. Now you've lost your x, and it's a whole another issue. So we want these to always, we want them to cancel out, but they're actually canceling out to a 1. 3 divided by 3 is 1. Earlier, when you had X plus 3. Remember, you get a 0. Well, that's because x plus 0 gives you just an x. That's what we wanted. We wanted everything else to go away. We wanted just the x. Well, to do that, when you're adding and subtracting, you want it to equal 0. When you're multiplying and dividing, you want it to equal 1. Either way, you just do the opposite. Okay, I don't want you to get too caught up on that, but if you're the type of person that needs to know why, that's why. Okay? 3 divided by 3 gives you 1. 1x is just x. 27 divided by 3 gives you 9. Let's throw it back in and double check. 9, so 3 times, remember there's multiplication, 3 times 9 is 27, you're good to go. Keep in mind, we talked about same signs when you're multiplying and dividing. Same signs positive, different signs negative. So this would be a positive 9. Okay, we'll put a box around this, so let's keep moving. Let's do, let's see here. Sorry, hold on. Do I have any more? I do. Okay, let's go with 4m equals negative 48. 4m equals negative 48, okay? Ignore the whole negative and stuff right now. Let's just look at what's going on here. We're multiplying 4 by m. So we need to get rid of that 4. We're multiplying. So do the opposite. Do the inverse operation of multiply, which would be divide. So you're going to divide by 4. That gives you 1m. That's what we want. That gives us m equals. Now what you do to one side, you do to the other. Now, different signs. You have a negative up here, you have a positive down here. So you know your answer is going to be negative because different signs are negative. Now just find out how many times 4 goes into 48. If you can't do it in your head, no big deal. We can set up a little bit of long division over here. 4 goes into itself one time, 4 goes into 1 once, or sorry, 4 into 4 once, 0. Bring down your 8. 4 goes into 8 2 times, 0, and then we're done. That's a terminating, so it's a 12. Okay, this is what we get for our answer. Let's check it. 4 times m, which is negative 12. If you need to, you can multiply it out. You do get 48, a negative and a positive give you a negative, you're good to go. Okay, it doesn't hurt to just quickly check your work by plugging it in. All right, let's keep moving. So there's a couple examples of multiplication. When you start with multiplication, then you have to divide when you do the inverse operation. Let's look at some of the opposite kinds. Let's go where you start with division. Okay, so again, what I said earlier is this division bar, this fraction bar is a division. So x divided by 2. So you're dividing this x by 2. So we need to think of the opposite. What's the opposite operation, the inverse operation of a division, which is a multiplication? The way that I write this, okay, I write it like this. Okay, you can actually, I'll put it right in front. Okay, 2 times x. Okay, so if you're dividing by 2, you multiply by 2. Well, look, if you actually look at it, the 2's end up canceling out. These cancel out, these cancel out. 2, because 2 divided by 2 is 1. That's what we want, remember? That's what we did up here. 3 divided by 3, 4 divided by 4. So when you multiply by 2, it's 2 divided by 2. It's a fraction. 2 over 2 is just 1. That leaves you with just an x. Equals, what you do to one side, we multiplied, you do to the other side. 5 times 2. Remember when you put the parentheses around it, it means multiplication there? If you don't put the parentheses, you're going to end up confusing yourself because you're going to do this. And it looks like 52. It's not 52. It's 5 times 2. 5 times 2, 10. Okay? Positive 2, a positive 5, same sign, positive when multiplying and dividing. Answer is 10. Let's check that and see. If I plug in, instead of the x, I put a 10. Is this true? What's 10 divided by 2? 10 divided by 2 is 5. Is that our answer up here from the original? It was. So this is correct. Then we know we did it right. Okay, let's do another one. What about, I don't think we have, let's see. No, okay. A, B, we didn't do a B yet, I don't think. B, 7. That's a bad 7. Sorry, guys. 7 equals negative 11. Okay? So we have b divided by 7. b divided by 7. What's the opposite of division? Multiplication. You're going to multiply exactly what you see. Now listen, earlier on the other video, you were changing your signs, right? When it was a -3, you added 3. You take the sign that's there. If it's a +3, you're going to divide both sides by +3. This was a +4, you divide both sides by a +4. This is a +2, you multiply both sides by a +2. This is a +7, so you multiply both sides by +7. Okay? Again, these cancel out. That gives you 1b. 7 divided by 7 is 1. So 1b, which is just b, equals, okay, let's do the math first, or you can look at it as this. Let's do different signs, negative. So we know it's a negative number. Let's just do the math. 11 times 7, 77, and we're done. Double check real quick. What is negative 77 divided by 7? 7 goes into 77 11 times. Different signs when you're dividing or multiplying is always negative. Look at your original, and that is correct, so then you know you did it right. Okay, one other thing, I'm going to do one more example, and then we're going to do some practice problems. Division and multiplication, okay, once you can understand addition and subtraction, I feel that multiplication and division isn't too difficult. I think the fractions kind of throw some people off just because they look a little different. It doesn't change anything. So let's do one of these problems real quick. Negative 5w equals 95. Let's do another negative. All right, so negative 5w equals negative 95. All right. Now remember, there's multiplication going on here, so we need to divide. We're going to do that by showing a division bar. Divide by negative 5. What you do to one side, you do to the other. These cancel out because a negative divided by negative is a positive, right? Same signs, positive. 5 divided by 5 is 1, so it's a positive 1, so 1w. That's what we want. Now remember, there's a negative 5 there, so you must divide both sides by the negative 5 because you got to use that number, okay? Now, same signs, both are negative, so that's positive answer. 95 and 5, if you can't do it in your head, not a big deal, just write it off to the side. Now remember, this kind of stuff, I need to see this. If you're doing this on the side on your work, whether it's on a test, on a quiz, on your homework, or these assignments we're doing kind of throughout the summer, still kind of leave the work there. Put it nearby while you're doing your work and show me that you're doing this. So 5, 45. I got 19. Okay? That's another 45 and it goes away. So 19, positive 19. You can plug that in, negative 5 times 19, and it will give you negative 95. So just kind of keep in mind with those negatives and things. If I had a negative down here, it would then multiply both sides by negative. Let's do some practice problems. I think you're ready. All right, let me take this down. We're gonna do, let's put in 4. We'll do 4 practice problems, and then we'll call this one. And we'll call it finished. All right, so let's start with, sorry, I'm gonna grab one of these. I'll take something from here. Let's go, we'll start with that one, all right? I believe, did I do one like this? No, I think it was close to that, but it was different. All right, so go ahead and take this one. I want you to work this out and see what you get. All right, so the first thing I see is multiplication. Okay, we're multiplying by 3. The opposite, okay, the inverse operation, the opposite of that is divide by 3. What you do to one side, you do to the other. These cancel out. X equals different signs, a negative and a positive. When you're dealing with multiplication division, different signs negative. 3 goes into 21 7 times. Okay, hopefully you got that one right. This isn't a tricky start or anything. Hopefully we're good here. you take this and you can plug it back in. 3 times x, which is -7, 3 times -7 is -21. So it's a quick way to check your work. Let's do another one. Let's see. Okay, this one here. I want you guys to go ahead. This is -6a equals -24. Go ahead and work on that one. Again, what I see is a multiplication, and we're multiplying by -6. So keep that sign. Keep the negative with the 6, but we want to do the inverse operation. So we're going to divide by -6. What you do to one side, you do to the other. These cancel out. A equals -24 divided by -6. Same sign's positive. When you divide here, you get a +4. Now, quick check. -6 times a +4 is a -24. You know you did it right. Okay? Let's do some of the other ones with the fractions. Okay, so we have something like this. N divided by 6 equals -2. All right, go ahead and work on that one, see what you get. All right, so again, the fraction bar should go ahead and tell you this is division. So the opposite of division is going to be multiplication. So we know we're multiplying, so I'll go ahead and put up my little multiplying parentheses. We just got to find out what number we're using. Since we're dividing by a +6, you must multiply both sides by a +6. Now 6 divided by 6 gives us 1. 1n is just n, that's what we want. -2 times +6, different signs negative. 2 times 6, 12. And you can do a quick check. -12 divided by 6 does give you a -2. You're good to go. All right, last one. Let's see. Let's go. Why did it, let's do M. Okay. So this one here, a little bit of a curveball because of the negative, but doesn't change any of the rules, still kind of follow the rules. M divided by -17 equals 9. Go ahead and work this one out, see what you get. Okay, again, just like the last one, you see division bar that thinks divide. I'm sorry, a fraction bar, you think divide, so we're going to be multiplying. We just have to find out what we're going to multiply. Well, we're dividing by -17. You must multiply by -17. Keep that sign. Don't lose the sign. If you forget the negative and you make it a positive, then you have a -m, and that's a whole other thing we're not going to get into right now. All right. So this is a -17. We're multiplying both sides. -17 divided by -17 is a +1. That's what we want. So that leaves us with 1m, which is just m. Now we need to multiply +9 times -17. Well, we know different sign is going to give us a negative, so let's just do the math. 17 times 9. Again, this kind of stuff, keep this on your paper, all right? Unless you know your times tables, your nines, your multiples of 9s all the way up to 17, just go ahead and write this on the side and keep this here, all right? 9 and 7 gives us 60, is that right, 63? Yes, 63. 9 times 1 plus 6 is 153. And I hope I didn't work it too fast. Let's see. 9, yeah, I think we're good. All right, -153. And you can plug that in and double check. You can put 17 into 153 and see what you get, but this is the correct answer. Thank you. I hope you guys have understood this one here. We are moving from one step. We've done enough one step. We are moving into two step in the next video, and we'll get into what that means when we get there. Thank you guys. I hope this work is making sense. Let me know if you need help or have questions, anything. You guys know my email, reach out, and I'll get back to you. Thank you.